The local government news roundup is supported this month by the National Growth Areas Alliance Emerging Growth Areas Forum. Australia is working towards 1.2 million new homes over 5 years, and growth councils are on the front line of delivering them. It's not just about land release and planning approvals, it's about getting the roads, drainage, schools, libraries and community infrastructure right from day one. And that's the focus of the 2026 Emerging Growth Areas Forum, hosted by the National Growth Areas Alliance on Tuesday the 4th of August at Hume City Council Town Hall in Broadmeadows. It's running alongside the NGAA National Congress. For the first time, council leaders from emerging and established growth areas will come together to share what's worked and what hasn't in managing rapid growth, covering organisational readiness, working with developers, building community trust, and making the case for state and federal investment. If your council is facing rapid population growth, this is a forum built for you. Registration is open now to all local governments. Head to the NGAA website, ngaa.org.au, to secure your place. Today, Kingston refers monitor invoices to IBAC. Greater Bendigo hands maternal and child health services back to the state. Shoalhaven facing backlash over a $14 million sale of 20 properties. Wingecarribee's supermarket refusal is overturned, a win for Woolworths. Major copper cable theft hitting water infrastructure in Cairns. A 12% rate rise in Peterborough, and the cost to ratepayers of Neil the elephant seal's visit revealed. That's all just ahead and much more on your Friday edition of the Local Government News Roundup. Brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, Symphony 3, simple connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. It's Friday, the 31st of July, 2026. Welcome to the Roundup. More of this week's news from around the world of local government. In Victoria, Kingston City Council has voted unanimously to refer invoices submitted by state-appointed municipal monitors John Tanner and John Watson to Victoria's anti-corruption body, IBAC, and to the local government inspectorate. According to reporting from the Herald Sun, the decision follows revelations that billing records included charges for non-existent dates, such as February 30 and 31, as well as work prior to a formal appointment. The council has also directed the billing discrepancies to its internal audit and risk committee for further review to maintain financial oversight and accountability. While the vote to refer the matter was unanimous, not all councillors took part. 3 of the councillors reportedly dropped out of the online meeting prior to the vote being taken. Yarra City Council's Mayor Stephen Jolly has fronted Melbourne Magistrates Court as a contested hearing continues into an unlawful assault charge stemming from his 2024 election night celebration. Defence lawyers told the court that Councillor Jolly acted in self-defence during a confrontation with masked protesters who disrupted the event at a Collingwood venue. The Herald Sun is reporting on the multi-day hearing, which will examine evidence from 14 witnesses before a decision is reached. Some notable service delivery decisions from councils this week. In Wangaratta, the council has voted to end its direct delivery of aged care services following an independent review into the long-term sustainability of its operating model. Council has endorsed a staged transition that will see supported home services wrap up by late September, with other Commonwealth and state-funded programs continuing until alternative providers are appointed. The council cited increasing regulatory requirements, clinical compliance risks and broader national reforms as key factors making ongoing direct service provision unviable. And Greater Bendigo City Council will hand maternal and child health services back to the state, ending council funding by year's end, according to an ABC News report. The transition to a new provider is expected before the end of the year. The council says the move will better support families with complex needs through the public health system, but nurses warn it could weaken the local community connections that parents rely on. And the City of Greater Geelong Council has voted to transition its 15 local libraries to a company limited by guarantee model maintaining its ongoing partnership within the Geelong Regional Library Corporation network. The decision ensures compliance with enterprise structure requirements under the Local Government Act 2020, ahead of a July 2031 deadline, guaranteeing continuity of service without shifting to an in-house model. The council has also renewed calls for the state government to address cost shifting and increase public library funding, with local councils currently bearing roughly 80% of operational costs. The Star Weekly reported this week that dozens of local government employees rallied outside Hobsons Bay Civic Centre as part of an ongoing multi-employer industrial campaign by the ASU across 8 Melbourne councils. The union is seeking a 10% wage increase in the first year of a new enterprise agreement. Following extended bargaining delays, more than 1,000 council staff were expected to strike and gather outside State Parliament on Thursday. Murrindindi Shire Council has welcomed the release of the Victorian Parliament's inquiry report into the 2026 summer bushfires. As the state's most severely affected municipality, the council has highlighted recommendations supporting an impact-based disaster recovery funding model and greater financial backing for local government's expanded operational responsibilities. Mayor Damien Gallagher urged the state government to move swiftly from parliamentary findings to practical on-the-ground support for fire-impacted regional communities. And rounding up more Victorian Council news, Hume City Council is calling on community members to support its campaign to duplicate Mickleham Road between Craigieburn Road and Donnybrook Road to help ease traffic congestion and improve road safety. Wyndham is calling on the state government to commit $50 million towards a full redevelopment of Werribee Railway Station to address long-standing issues with parking, bus interchange facilities and accessibility. Swan Hill Council is surveying the community as it prepares to roll out a mandatory food and garden organics green bin service required under the state's waste reforms before July next year. The council says feedback will shape the education and transition support program. And Brimbank City Council has welcomed EPA Victoria's permanent revocation of the Kialba landfill licence after years of advocacy following 2019 underground fires. The operator, Barrow Group, remains legally required to extinguish the remaining hotspot and fully remediate the site. Making news in New South Wales, Bathurst Regional Council's long-serving General Manager David Shirley has announced his retirement, effective in January next year. Mr Shirley has held the top job since 2004 and joined the council back in 1998 as Director of Corporate Services. Earlier this year, he received a Public Service Medal for 37 years in New South Wales local government. Mayor Councillor Robert Taylor says his retirement marks the end of an era for the council. He's flagged a mayoral minute at the August meeting to outline the process for recruiting Mr Shirley's replacement. Central Coast Council has confirmed its leadership transition, appointing Director of Water and Sewer Jamie Loader as Acting Chief Executive from the 2nd of September. That follows the retirement of long-serving CEO David Farmer, who's stepping down after 5.5 years in the role and a 45-year career in local government. Mayor Laurie McKenna says the search for a permanent CEO is underway, following the Office of Local Government's recruitment framework, with an appointment expected to take several months. Now, Woolworths has won a court battle to build a new supermarket in Moss Vale. The Southern Wire reported that the New South Wales Land and Environment Court has overturned Wingecarribee Shire Council's refusal, approving a 2-storey shopping centre with specialty stores, commercial space and a 242-space car park. The court found the project would deliver a net economic benefit, retain local spending and improve choice, with traffic concerns addressed through road upgrades and new lights. Construction is subject to final access arrangements. The South Coast News reports that Shoalhaven City Council has voted to approve the sale of 20 properties in a $14 million deal aimed at boosting council revenue and easing rate pressures. The decision requires the reclassification and rezoning of operational and community land currently occupied by several local non-profit organisations, including an emergency shelter. Council CEO Andrew Constance has apologised for failing to consult affected tenants prior to the meeting and pledged to engage with key service providers to source alternative premises. Local MPs have condemned the decision and are calling on the local government minister to intervene. Tenterfield Shire Council has issued a statement clarifying its decision to handle Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting minutes within confidential business at its July ordinary meeting. The council highlighted that committee business frequently involves sensitive financial, governance and operational risk matters, including exposure to AI-driven cyber threats. Citing state local government guidelines, the council affirmed that decisions regarding the public release of committee papers remain at the discretion of council. Griffith Council has narrowly voted down a proposed banner policy for its main street after debate sparked by unannounced Pride Month rainbow banners in June. Region Riverina reports that Councillor Jenny Ellis pushed for a transparent approval process and guidelines. The vote was tied at 4-4, with the Mayor using a casting vote to defeat the motion. Upper Hunter Shire is urging the state government to review new rules limiting councillor briefings with staff before meetings. It says the changes hurt informed decision-making on complex issues like planning and infrastructure. 2NM reported that the council will take its concerns to the local government minister and the Premier. And rounding up more New South Wales Council news, Blue Mountains is demanding an exemption for its entire local government area from New South Wales fast-tracked residential development pathways due to extreme bushfire risks and concerns over high-density projects bypassed through state-significant development processes. Shoalhaven is urging motorists travelling through Milton to exercise caution and cap their speed at 60 kilometres per hour, following the vandalism and removal of 20 speed and directional signs across local roads. Lake Macquarie City Council has spent $5,000 removing traffic cones placed atop pine trees across the region, warning that the dangerous pranks pose severe safety and environmental risks. And NBN News reported that Tamworth Regional Council has approved spending up to $30,000 on a delegation trip to Japan and Singapore to strengthen sister city relations, and that's drawn backlash from some local residents. More on those stories from the links that you'll find in the transcript on our website. Support for the local government news roundup comes from Symphony 3, staging another fascinating webinar that you don't want to miss. It's called The Return of Wisdom: How Leaders Will Succeed in an AI-Driven World. What is wisdom? Why might we need it now? And can AI think critically and be creative? And what does this mean for how you lead? Professor Ronan McDonald will explore why judgment is becoming one of the defining leadership capabilities of the AI age. He's in conversation with Fergal Coleman, and you can be part of that next Thursday, the 6th of August. It's at 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and you'll find all the details at symphony3.com. Time for some Queensland news now, and Cairns Regional Council is assessing hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages following the theft of approximately 160 metres of copper cable from its critical water infrastructure. According to the Cairns Post, Council Chief Executive Ken Goldthorpe has confirmed the Crystal Cascades intake facility is currently operating on backup generator power, while engineers determine a complex repair strategy. Queensland Police are investigating the incidents, which involved cutting live electrical wiring at the site earlier this month. The Queensland Government has declared a drought across the Balonne, Gundawindi, Southern Downs and Maranoa local government areas following prolonged below-average rainfall. According to Balonne Shire Council, the status reinstates interest-free loans of up to $250,000 via state drought finance schemes for eligible primary producers. Mayor Samantha O'Toole welcomed the support, noting that despite earlier river flooding, patchy winter rainfall has left local pastures severely depleted. Sunshine Coast Council and Uni SC have signed a regional partnership agreement worth up to $1 million to advance shared sustainability goals. The partnership will work on joint initiatives in education, research, innovation, workforce development and regional projects, including smart cities and Brisbane 2032 legacy planning. Lockyer Valley Regional Council is urging landholders to clear potential pest harbourage sites following warnings from the Darling Downs Moreton Rabbit Board. Environment Portfolio Councillor Cheryl Steinhardt says unmaintained shipping containers, timber stockpiles and undisturbed hay offer ideal shelter for wild rabbits. And Somerset Regional Council has launched its new Experience Somerset Visitor Guide, following Toogoola's recognition as Queensland's top tiny tourism town for 2026. The guide highlights the region's growing small batch food scene, historic villages and country lifestyle, and Mayor Jason Wentz says it will put Somerset front of mind for holidaymakers in a competitive tourism industry. Let's go to Tasmania next, where the Deputy Lord Mayor of Hobart, Zelinda Sherlock, has issued a public apology for taking food and drinks from the council's elected members' lounge. Speaking to ABC Radio this week, Councillor Sherlock confirmed a list of missing items was provided to the Integrity Commission, while describing the ongoing fallout as a political assassination. Pulse Tasmania reported that the Director of Local Government has since requested information on the matter, as fellow elected members remain divided over whether the issue represents political targeting or official accountability. Meanwhile, another Hobart City Councillor and the Chair of Cycling South, Ryan Posselt, has publicly raised safety concerns over concrete barriers installed along the Collins Street bike lane trail. Speaking to Pulse Tasmania, Councillor Posselt accused council staff of ignoring ongoing feedback regarding the rigid bollards, which he says contributed to a recent cyclist injury. While supporting the continuation of the 2-year trial, he called on council administration to better address feedback from elected members and the public. Launceston Mayor Matthew Garwood has lost a $15,000 defamation action in the Launceston Magistrates Court against an 80-year-old resident. Deputy Magistrate Ken Stanton ruled that an email and social media post concerning alleged illegal parking failed to demonstrate serious reputational harm. As reported by Pulse Tasmania, the court deemed the communication inappropriate but not defamatory, with an application for legal costs currently adjourned. And Clarence City Council has incurred more than $31,000 in costs managing crowd control and property damage caused by Neil, the visiting elephant seal, whose recent stay at 7 Mile Beach attracted worldwide attention. According to SBS News, staff and security spent over 275 hours directing traffic and repairing damaged council bollards, fencing and street signage. Mayor Brendan Blomley defended the expenditure, saying the proactive oversight was essential to maintain public safety and protect the protected marine mammal. Our journey around Australian local government takes us to South Australia next, where former Adelaide City Councillor Henry Davis has attended a council meeting in the public gallery following a behavioural standards panel finding of serious misbehaviour, according to In Daily SA. The panel recommended a 3-month suspension over allegations he secretly filmed colleagues at a city venue. But Mr Davis resigned prior to the report's release and announced he will contest the mayoral election. Deputy Lord Mayor Carmel Noon addressed the chamber this week on workplace safety concerns arising from the incident, while Mr Davis maintains his innocence. The District Council of Peterborough has adopted a 12% rate increase, keeping its rates the highest in South Australia for a second consecutive year. ABC News reported that it follows revelations that $2.5 million was redirected from a restricted wastewater management fund to cover operational expenses. The council still forecasts a $240,000 operating deficit for the current financial year, as it seeks to establish a repayment schedule to restore the account. In other South Australian council news, the Adelaide Hills Council is closing and removing the community-built dirt bike jumps at Brockhoff Park in Balhanna during the first week of August due to safety risks identified in a recent safety assessment. The City of Burnside issued a media statement explaining its ongoing media monitoring service contract is up for renewal via a standard confidential state government tender process. The council says the service helps to efficiently track relevant community issues, news and public discussions. And the City of Holdfast Bay has asked the Local Government Association of South Australia to advocate for updates to national road rules governing long-term street parking. The council is seeking increased authority to manage caravans, boats and trailers stored on suburban roads following growing community concerns regarding safety and neighbourhood amenity. To Western Australia now, and in Perth, the Metro Inner Development Assessment Panel has approved an 8-storey mixed-use development exceeding the City of Vincent's local height limit. State planners voted 4-1 in favour of the $10 million William Street proposal, accepting streetscape upgrades in exchange for the additional building height. Perth Now reported the decision was made despite local government objections about legal zoning interpretations and the adequacy of the proposed community benefits. The City of South Perth Council has updated its mayoral vehicle policy to allow the mayor to use a city-funded car for electoral and political party purposes. Under the revised framework, electioneering is classified as private travel, requiring Mayor Greg Milner to maintain an Australian Taxation Office compliant logbook and reimburse the council for variable costs and depreciation. Perth Now reported that an amendment proposing a complete ban on political usage lapsed without a seconder, with elected members agreeing to review the policy again in December 2026. Also making news from WA councils this week, the City of Wanneroo has shelved plans to split its local government and create a new City of Yanchep due to high financial costs, heavy resource demands and potential strategic disruptions during a period of rapid population growth. And the City of Mandurah has called for candidate nominations between August 4 and 11 to fill a councillor vacancy in the town ward for an extraordinary postal election scheduled for September 24. And in the NT, Alice Springs Town Council Mayor Astor Hill is set to meet with a Qantas regional manager following the airline's decision to cut its direct route between Melbourne and Alice Springs. The council has invited Qantas to discuss the economic and social impact of losing the service, which is scheduled to cease operating in November. More on that from the NT News. That's our trip around Australia complete for today. Let's check in on some overseas stories of interest. In New Zealand, it continues to be all about the will they or won't they amalgamate various councils. Rangitikei District Council has unanimously voted against participating in the government's Head Start pathway, rejecting requirements to submit council amalgamation plans. According to the Wanganui Chronicle, elected members will instead sign a memorandum of understanding with neighbouring councils to establish a collaborative, locally led response to sector reforms. Mayor Andy Watson will also join regional leaders in sending a joint letter to Local Government Minister Simon Watts outlining their position. Meanwhile, the minister says the government has not softened its stance on local body amalgamation, rejecting claims from Tararua Mayor Scott Gilmore. Mr Watts says there's been no change in policy as councils face a 9th of August deadline to submit their boundary reform proposals or risk the government stepping in with a backstop plan. More on that from RNZ News. In the UK, a planning inspectorate has overturned a decision by Durham County Council to reject a 63-hectare solar farm and battery storage facility. The council had originally refused the development following community objections about noise, visual impacts and security infrastructure, but planning inspectors ultimately determined that the project's renewable energy benefits outweighed the moderate harm to the local landscape, reports the Northern Echo. A Sunderland City Council elected official in the UK has been charged under the Communications Act over a historical social media post referencing the Nigerian community. ITV News reported that 66-year-old Reform UK councillor Glenn Gibbons will face court next month following an investigation into the 2024 online comment. The councillor had previously received a final written warning from his political party following an internal review into the matter. Some news out of the US. New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani is facing criticism from some Jewish attorneys for appointing an 18-member judicial advisory panel with no Jewish representation. The panel vets and nominates judges to preside over city courtrooms, and Mayor Mamdani says religion was not a factor in selecting committee members. The city of Wilmer in Texas has been thrown into turmoil after 2 city leaders were arrested in related cases stemming from a confrontation at a gas station, where a city council member allegedly used a racial slur and threatened a customer. According to CBC News, a Authorities claim the acting police chief then interfered with the investigation by taking surveillance video and claiming he would control the case, leading to his arrest for interference with public duties. Detroit Mayor Mary Sheffield has announced a $9.2 million homeless to housed initiative over the next 3 years, about a 500% increase in city funding to help families move from shelters into permanent housing. And in Ontario, California, the mayor is urging Mayor Pro Tempore Alan Wapner to step down from his Ontario International Airport Authority role, according to CBS News. This is after the FBI executed sealed search warrants at Wapner's and San Bernardino County Supervisor Kurt Hagman's homes and subpoenaed airport contract documents as part of an undisclosed investigation. And finally to Canada, where councils are facing growing debate over proposed data centre developments due to community concerns about energy consumption and environmental impacts. Mississauga councillors recently enacted a one-year moratorium to assess regulatory options, while Toronto City Council is considering similar motions. Calgary City Council has approved a motion to explore establishing a lobbyist registry to track interactions with elected officials and city staff. That decision comes despite scepticism from some councillors who view the measure as purely performative, according to CBC News. And in Regina, the City Council is facing mounting public backlash following earlier cost-cutting decisions that trimmed $240,000 from its parks maintenance budget. The operational reduction, which saw around 17 seasonal positions eliminated, has resulted in widespread grass and weed overgrowth across local public spaces. According to a report from CBC News, councillors are now reconsidering the service reductions as resident complaints continue to escalate ahead of upcoming budget discussions. And now you're up to date with what we've been following here at the Local Government News Roundup. That was episode number 623 for Friday the 31st of July 2026. More details on all of those stories, including the original story links at lgnewsroundup.com. Our podcast is brought to you by the VLGA, with a new episode of VLGA Connect coming your way on YouTube and podcast later today. We also receive support from Symphony 3, Simple Connected Customer Experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. And we're supported this month by the NGAA's Emerging Growth Areas Forum that's happening next week on the 4th of August at Hume City Council in Broadmeadows. All the details on our website. We record in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I'll be back with more news very soon. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for the Roundup comes from Symphony 3, allowing councils to connect their systems securely, to automate their data flows and to monitor performance in real time. And right now, councils are lining up for their own emergency dashboard, like the one that Symphony 3 has created for the city of Greater Bendigo. The dashboard helps keep the community safe and prepared before, during and after emergencies. It pulls together live data, including weather data, traffic data, emergency incidents, unplanned and planned disruptions, news and social media feeds. Visit www.symphony3.com to learn how you can get an emergency dashboard for your community.